Hello, hello, hello. Y'all, welcome to the Power Within Summit. I'm starting out this particular conversation with one of the people who, from the time we met in Australia, all those years ago, I don't even remember what year it was, but from the time we met in Australia, this woman has been not only a source of influence and inspiration for me, but just a powerhouse mother, a phenomenal business owner, an entrepreneur, and a woman whose heart is just beyond. When she speaks, I listen. The way her mind works is fascinating to me. So, of course, I had to have the conversation with Dr. Jatali around mindset because this one's going to change the game for you. So make sure you have your pen and paper handy. You are going to want to take notes. You're going to want to at her so she knows it's real because it is time for us to intentionally own and use our power. So I hope y'all ready because we are jumping right on in. So, Dr. Jatali, you have experienced just some things that have just been, for many people, things that would be debilitating for them, that would put them in a place where they cannot see beyond, or there is no other option except for to just kind of lay down and go with what it is. But what I want to know is how have you maintained this positive outlook, no matter the challenges, no matter the setbacks? And then how has that mindset that you've been able to cultivate, how has it contributed to your ability to be so effective?
So the first thing I will say is I had to learn that things happen around us and they only happen to us if we allow them to happen to us.
Hmm.
Because I know that I definitely went through a phase where I'm like, God, why is this happening to me? Why me? And we all go through that moment where we're thinking that is something personal.
Yeah.
And I had to realize it's not personal. Like life is gonna life. Things are gonna happen. It's also this balance of give and take, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes the give and take is the win and lose of the world, right? So one time you win something, you move 10 feet forward, and then it's like you're in the game Jumanji and you get like the wrong dice and you go back 3 feet and you get
Yeah.
sucked into a vortex. And it's like I went through this phase where I literally felt like that's what was happening to me.
Yeah.
And I had to really learn the balance of life. Sometimes you lose $1, but then God gives you a thousand.
Hmm. Yeah. You can
And
keep
I
it. You can keep $1 if you're gonna give me 1,000. You
You
can
know
keep
what I'm
it.
saying? And so when I started to actually keep track and journal my successes and my losses, I realized I had way more wins than losses. But I
Hmm.
realized I also was at a point where I was fixating upon the loss, upon the negative.
Hmm.
And I
Yeah.
wasn't giving myself the grace to be like, but you know what, Jatali, although you might have lost this contract, you still made 3 contracts last month, right?
Yeah.
When your goal was to make one. So you made 2 extra. So maybe that's a balance. Maybe the one that you lost this month is that. And so when I started to just recalibrate how I look at my wins, giving myself the grace to know that I can pivot and change my mind when I have an idea and I realize something is no longer feeding my higher purpose, or even just the space of being in as a mom, realizing that I wanted to build a brand with a child on my hip, just
Yeah.
understanding that that's just who I am. So I'm willing to take on the uncomfortability that comes with that. I'm willing to be
Yeah.
uncomfortable to get to my success quicker,
Hmm.
because I'm a firm believer that we can be comfortable and take a very long time to succeed and do certain things, or we can be uncomfortable and do it even quicker. And I wanted to do it quickly. So I was like, I'm going to embrace the uncomfortability so that I can be able to do what I need to do quickly.
Ooh, so then there's something because again, and this is a common thread that I've been hearing throughout these conversations is nobody wants to be uncomfortable. I don't know what happened and who decided that being uncomfortable was something that was just absolutely not. And so that desire to sit so comfortably or so securely in your comfort zone many times is keeping you away from what it is that you say that you really do want. And so you said that willingness to be uncomfortable, but do you have any practices that you would recommend that we can use to cultivate a habit of positive thinking? And then, of course, to accompanying that with some actions that you're willing to put into place to overcome that negative kind of voice in our head that tells us this is going to be too hard, it's going to be too difficult, you're going to take too long. What are some practices that you would suggest we use?
The first thing I would say is having an end goal in mind and then deciding what you need to do to get to that end goal. Because sometimes if you don't have an idea or a clear picture of what the other end looks like, it is so
Hmm.
hard to push forward. It's like
Yeah.
you're in this empty room. Like if you have a room, the light is on, and you see where the exit sign is, and then you turn off all the lights because you know that it's straightforward, it's ahead of you. It's so much easier to walk forward in the dark. You know that there aren't any sharks on the floor. There's nothing that's going to bite you. There's nothing that's going to
Yeah.
hurt you. You just have to keep moving one foot at a time forward towards your
Yeah.
goal, right? And so that's
Yep.
one of the biggest things I would say is like, what is your end goal? You know, if your end goal is a number, if it's a relationship, if it's a particular room to be in, start there and then reverse engineer how it is that you're going to make it into that room. And then just take one step at a time towards it, understanding that if you only take one step, don't be mad if it takes you a year to get there. But if you take 2 or 3 steps, it might take you a few months instead. And so that's one of the first tips. Um, Another thing is the journaling I mentioned earlier. Like I will journal and I have a book. And most people have a book that will tell them like their diary. Or it might be something basic like, these are their fears or these are their goals in life. But I keep track of my wins. And as
Mm.
I succeed in something or even my goals of what I want to achieve. And as something pivots, I go back and I check off the things that are still remaining and that I've done. And then whenever I'm starting to feel bad, I look back at that and I'll be like, okay, you know what? 2023, you started off the year saying that your goal, instead of a vision board, it was a vision book. And in my vision
Yep.
scrapbook, it will say like, my goal for this year is to accomplish X, Y, and Z, countries visited. I want to have X, Y, and Z in my son's portfolio. My personal portfolio is supposed to have a certain amount of money in it, or maybe certain amount of stocks, etc. And as I'm diversifying in that space, I want to help 50 people learn about financial literacy. I want to hug 100 people. I don't care what it is, yeah? So I
Yes.
write these things down. And then throughout the year, I'll go back and I'll check it off. Okay, check. I hugged 100 people. Check. I helped 50 people. And
Yeah.
so when I start to have those bad days, I look back, I'm like, but this is what you've accomplished. This is the beast that you are. This is who you are. Don't let the world dictate who you are. Don't let a bad moment dictate who you are. It's really the good. It's everything. It's an accumulation of everything that you've done and who you are. And that's like a very big thing to remember. And then reading certain books like Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Joe Dispenza. Like I'll
Mhm.
mention certain books and things all the time to people because I don't think people understand the level of how certain books can really help you. Right. And
Yeah.
you is a good book. There's just certain things on various levels, rather it's spiritual, like conversations with God, or it could be something more basic, like, just the scientific side of who we are as people. And, the meditations and things that you can do to help you ease your mind and just get yourself where you need to go.
Yeah, and you mentioned something too, because there's a book that I'm currently reading that you suggested. So then a way to expand your mind and to kind of tap into that growth mindset would be to get you some good books. Like, one of the things that I think is incredibly important is building a community of folks who think either the way you're trying to think or
Hmm.
who think the way you are. And so what does that look like to intentionally build a tribe, especially if you're starting from the beginning of not having one, not having a tribe who is thinking the way you would like to think, or not having a tribe who is focused on the types of things you're focused on? How do you even start to begin to build a tribe that will align with where you are? What does that piece look like?
The first thing I will say, the coolest thing right now about social media and the world that we live in is that from dating to ordering your meal, you can do everything from your computer nowadays. And so there are groups that literally are like people who like opera. For instance, I like opera, I like country music.
I
I
love
don't
opera.
discriminate. Right? I want to get dressed up in a gown and go with a little ting and look at the people in the hall. I can't do it, but I love to enjoy it, right? And
Yeah.
so if I couldn't find a tribe of people who were into that, guess what I would do? There's probably an opera lovers group. And I'm gonna talk to someone, and guess what? We're gonna go to a public location and we're gonna all enjoy the opera together.
Yeah.
And so I really feel like that's one of the biggest things I would say is do not discount that. And then 1 degree separation. or just walking into the rooms that you want to be in. For instance, if I know that I love to philanthropy and I love giving back, then I would look up what are the biggest galas and philanthropic endeavors and events. Can I
Mhm.
volunteer time to be there and help organize and check people in and work my way up to a point where maybe I have enough money to attend the next following year.
Yes.
Start building those relationships. Can I join a committee to help them fundraise and make the money for this
Yes.
endeavor? Or even just, people forget sometimes you might not have the $100,000 to donate, but you might know $100,000 worth of people, right? And just the
Mhm.
thing, utilizing those relationships and leveraging them to be able to get to your next level. And so I think that's a really big part of this equation for me is I don't see limitations. I just see little speed bumps.
Yes.
So when I want to make friends, I realize that for me, one, you have to be open and receptive. And if you start from a guarded, hurt space, you're going to receive guarded, hurt people. And that's what my experience has been. So I don't go into any situation, rather it's friendships, relationships, anything guarded. I go into it knowledgeable. Now, if
Yes.
you show me who you are, I'm not going to be like, make excuses for you. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And you have to, you have to show me that you're worthy of, like, let's say me going above and beyond to help you with certain things. But there's a certain level of basic niceness and kindness that we can give to everybody that doesn't hurt us and doesn't take away from us. And that can allow us to also build that relationship and that rapport to actually get to the next level of friendship. And I also think it's sad when I hear people be like, no new friends. I'm like, okay, that's nice. But, for me, where I'm going in life, there's certain doors and rooms that I want to enter, and it's going to take those friendships to maybe open those doors and help me pry them open or teach me how to get to my next level. And I
Yeah.
feel like, how they say, no, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I'm one of those people that I'm like, I just want to keep learning and growing. My
Yeah.
friendships are all people that I can learn and grow from. When I was going into med school and I was like, I want to become a neuropsychologist, I started going to every last mental health conference with doctors from around the world speaking. I
Yeah.
started putting myself in the rooms and immersing myself and asking them questions because people love talking about themselves. Look at
Yes.
me,
They do.
right? So like we love talking about ourselves. So give us an opportunity. People will open up and tell you, like, hey, I want to be a neuropsychologist. How do you find that field? Do you love it? Do you like being a doctor? Do you like helping people? And
Yeah.
people want to help you. They want to teach you what they know most of the time. And the
Yeah.
people who don't, that's not your tribe. Keep it moving.
Listen, it's the keep it moving for me. There is a butter for every bread. And I know I'm super country, but there really is a butter for every bread. You being hurt or saddened by the people who don't want to, spend time with you or help you, or I promise there are so many people on the face of the planet who are willing, who would get excited to. The ones who don't, those aren't your people. Go find your people. Like,
Barter system, you know what I mean? And then also have a skill. Because I will say this, it is very important when you come to the table that you don't come empty handed. I don't
yes.
care if it's either it's your mannerisms or
Mhm.
your personality or your skills. Don't come empty handed to the table. If you want to
No.
be in a robust room, it's okay to be the poorest one in the room. It's okay to be the youngest one in the room. But what's not okay is to be the only one in the room who does not have something that they excel at. That's
Yes.
my opinion. So when you come to that room, you might only excel at one thing, but make sure you know that thing very well and
Yeah.
utilize that in your favor. Like I remember going to this conference and this woman was into taxidermy.
Oh,
And I
okay.
was just like, okay. But then she found somebody else who was like, you know what? I like to go camping. Would you be interested in blah 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 blah? And he offered her like $50,000 to do like a moose for him or something like that. I don't know. And I was just like,
What?
what the? I was, but it's so interesting because you never know what kind of conversations you're gonna have. And that woman, her and I, when I first met her, I'm not gonna lie, she knows this story. I've told her this to her face. So I'm gonna say this publicly. I told the woman, I thought you were scary. I was like, you said you taxidermy. And I'm like, I don't know a lot of black women into taxidermy. And I was like, interesting. And it was interesting. I didn't know she was gonna become an ally, but now she's such a well-rounded, smart woman. And
Yeah.
she's such a beautiful person. She just has
Yeah.
an interesting hobby. Like what can I say?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's interesting because some of the things like she'll know about like shortages in certain medicals, and she's like, there's a shortage in blah blah blah. And I'm like, let me go look into that. I might want to invest in the company that's going to help provide.
Exactly.
And it's just You don't even realize it sometimes. Just by being who you are, that is a gift.
Yeah. And you said something really, really powerful in that when you're working to expand your mind, it will require you to get in uncomfortable places and spaces because you're going to where you don't yet know yet. That's the biggest thing. And most I'd say the thing that advances you the most as well when it comes to expanding your mindset or tapping into the power of your mindset, it means you're going to have to meet people and go into rooms where you might feel uncomfortable. And so, what I always tell people to do is to write out what you are just the best at, like that woman, what she was really, really great at. Write out what you are the best at, what nobody can tell you anything. For me, nobody can tell me a thing when it comes to creating a program or interviewing someone or hosting an event. Nobody can tell me anything about that because I am incredibly skilled at it, right? And so anytime I walk into a room to where I might feel uncomfortable, I harness it, kind of like if people used to watch those cartoons where they would get those power balls and you'd have all this power in between your hands and
Dragon
you
Ball
go
Z.
like Dragon Ball Z, yeah. And so I imagine my skills in a form of a really fiery ball that again you can use that fire to do whatever it is that you want. But I imagine that and then I take that and I kind of like put it in my chest. It sounds weird, but y'all, it's really effective. And I take that energy and I put it in my chest and then I walk into that room like I'm the wealthiest person in the room, like I'm the smartest person in the room, even though I know I'm not. That is not the point. It is the confidence that I'm walking into the room with, and the openness and the willingness and the excitedness to learn, to grow, to meet just one person because I really am introvert and walking into big rooms can exhaust an introverted person.
You
But
see that
that
one
openness,
person thing? I will stop right there and just say that one person, that's all it really takes. You don't need
yes.
to meet everybody in the room. Sometimes just
No,
meeting one person and just being, and if you go to 10 events and you meet one person at each event, that's 10 people that potentially become part of your tribe. And
yes.
that connectivity. But that's also mindset, right? Because to
Yep.
me, you always have to believe in yourself. How do you expect someone else to believe in you? How do you expect
Yep.
someone else to love you? How do you expect someone else to want to work with you? How do you expect anyone else to want to finance your dreams and your goals if you don't believe in your goals and your dreams? If you do not believe in you, if you don't love yourself? And I see a lot of people, I think that is the biggest thing I notice is that we're not just talking about self-esteem, but it's truly believing in oneself. If you don't
Yes.
honestly have that there, then how do you expect someone else to really believe in you more than you believe in yourself? And don't get me wrong, there will be times where maybe you don't believe in your goal, and that's where you've built up this amazing tribe of people, and they're gonna uplift you in that moment, right? There's a
Yep.
saying where it says, the time that you don't see God holding you, you don't see God's footprints next to you in the sand is because He's holding you, and you're only looking at His footprints, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes
Mhm.
our tribe and our family, when you pick the right people around you, that's what happens. Sometimes, like, especially if you're an entrepreneur, there's days in business where I'll get up and I'm like, bloody hell, you just kicked my butt this month. Right? And I'm like, do I want to be an entrepreneur still? Maybe I should go get that last finance offer, and you know, and then there's other months that are so lucrative, so beautiful, so amazing that I'm just like, this is what it is. But those months where I have it hard, I have a select private group of people like you, Alicia, that I'll turn
Mhm.
around and I'll say, hey sis, woman, do you know what my client did? And I'll have this conversation. And if you have special clients that you're not supposed to talk about, it might be just code switching their names. Or if your friends are gonna figure out who it is, make them sign NDAs and non-competes. If these are really your true friends, respectfully, they'll have no problem signing an NDA just to give you that
Yep.
peace of mind so you can speak freely. And then you
Yeah.
should have someone, rather it's your therapist or somebody that you can talk to that can help you on your journey and be able to give you that outlet. But usually a good friend, a supportive crew, when you have these moments will be like, woman, do you forget what you did last month? Oh no, this is just 1 week. Just get through this week. You got this moment. And I think that is a beautiful thing about having the right support system. Now, should you only
Absolutely.
rely on that support system? No. You have to
Mhm.
make sure you're doing the work. You can't expect other people to do the work for you. And we're going to leave it
Yeah.
at that because sometimes I think people hire people to teach them things and then they expect the people to do it for them. sometimes it's important that you are actually doing the work.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you can't pay people to do so much of the work that you've done nothing. Then when it's time for you to show up, it's like you can't. Like you don't know where anything is. You haven't actually taken and invested the time to do what you were supposed to do. And one of the things that you were talking about that it always brings to point for me is having a spirit to where you are willing to adapt and having a resilient energy where no, okay, if this doesn't go right, I'm not laying down on the floor. I'm taking a look at my book of wins like you were talking about, or I'm going to my tribe to talk through and to get that support that I need. But that resilience and that adaptability, they are key components when it comes to expanding and building and growing and tapping into a growth mindset. But what
Mm-hmm.
I would love to know is when you are learning to build that resilient muscle in the face of those setbacks and failures, how do you encourage yourself? What is the conversation or the questions that you're asking yourself?
So one of the questions I ask myself is, could I have done this better? Should
Mm,
I have done something differently? Because sometimes I realize when I'm asking me that question, I didn't have another option. This was my only route. This is my only way forward.
yeah.
And when I realized this was my only way forward, it gives you perspective of realizing you did the best that you could.
Mm,
And the moments that I didn't do the best that I could, I asked myself the hard question of why didn't I do my best? And am I now feeling this repercussion because I did not do my best?
okay.
I'm very big on holding myself accountable. When it
Yeah.
comes to my friendships, the ones that have failed are the ones that have done very well. The ones
Yeah.
that are watered and beautiful plants, or the ones that are just like withering away. And I'm like, someone's like, "Girl, you don't come to any of my brunches." I'm like, "Well, maybe we've outgrown each other. Maybe this is a conversation that we should have.
Yeah.
Why am I
Mm,
not making the time for you?" Because respectfully, if you really care about something, you're gonna make the time. Like,
yes.
look at this situation. I mean, Alicia, I give you nothing but respect and love. You know, today was one of those days, was like putting out Mission Impossible, putting out fires, bang to bang. And we had to both be flexible. But to
Yeah.
me, I'm like, if Alicia's willing to be flexible and give me the time, I'm willing to stay up late to make this call happen and make it whatever happen because I
Yeah.
respect you as a person. And I
Yeah.
also know that I'm willing to do what has to be done to get the job done. But sometimes we don't even make that first effort. We just be like, well, I can't do it, and it is what it is,
Mhm.
and we have this defeatist energy and attitude, and then we wonder why. Why did something go down the way it did? But did you really do your 100%? And when you didn't do
Yes.
your 100%, what did you expect to happen? Did you expect God to just take the football and run across the field for you? To see like an imaginary football just going across the field? And like, so I hold myself accountable all the time. And when I don't win on something, like if I lose a contract, if I don't compare myself to other people, that's number one.
Yeah.
What we're not going to do is play the comparison game, because I
Yeah.
also know nobody has my story. I mean, both of my parents were gone before 21. I started in finance at 16 and a half years old. I sacrificed going to the movies and play dates and boyfriends and stuff like that. And I was like, business casual, going to school, leaving from school, go straight to work. You know what I mean? There's a lot of
Yeah.
things that I did that I'm like, balance. I'm going to have some crazy wins. I'm going to have some losses. But what I do know is that my comeback game is always strong, and I'm a dedicated and a hardworking individual. And no one can outwork me. I
Ooh.
outwork myself. I'll compete myself. I am
Yeah.
the only person I'm competing with. And I don't even
Mhm.
compete with myself. I just want to see myself keep improving.
Yes. Ah, listen, this right here, I'm getting chills, especially because it's the no, I'm gonna show up for me. Because that's literally what it's sounding like. Everything you're saying, it sounded like, no, I'm going to always be willing to show up for me because I mean just that much to me. Now, y'all
Yeah.
should already know in every single one of these sessions, I have had a challenge for you. This session is no different. When you're looking to expand your mind, you're going to have to put yourself in different places. I want you to use your handy dandy Encyclopedia Britannica that you have in your hand. Okay? It is an encyclopedia. I want you to use it. And I want you to just start Googling events, whether it's in your area, whether it's virtual, it does not matter, but an event where you will be able to go and to connect with folks that can help to expand your mindset. in whatever area it is you want your mindset to be expanded in, whether it's finance or maybe health or maybe nutrition or maybe even parenting, whatever it is, you have full power to expand your mindset. Is it a book club? Because you guys are going to be reading different types of books around business development. Whatever it is, I want you to Google, use your Encyclopedia Britannica that is in your hands, and Google events that you were going to intentionally register for, go to, attend. And your goal is to meet one person, just one. This isn't a whole hard thing. Just meet one person that you can, whether it's one conversation or many conversations, but that you all can speak with each other to see, okay, how can we stretch our mind? What does it look like? And then once you have figured out that one thing and you do it, then you get to decide whether you want to continue doing that, where you're doing one new thing a month that stretches your mind. Or if you say, okay, this was good enough for me, I can take what I learned here and I can now apply it to something else to keep soaring. Whatever it is, you get to decide, but that is your challenge.
I love it.
Okay. And now, Jatali, I want to know where, Dr. Jatali, I want to know where can we stay connected? Where can we go? How can we, get all the info on how to support you as well?
Well, my Instagram is at Jatali Bellanton, JATALI BELLANTON. And I'm on LinkedIn as well. Those are the main two social medias I utilize. And my Instagram is verified. So if someone goes into your DM asking for money, it is not me. Don't even look for me. You've been warned. So on that note, thank you so much for having me, Alechia.
Absolutely. And thank you for joining me. I do not take this lightly that anyone would give me their time, because time is truly the most valuable asset that we all have. So I am incredibly grateful for you. And thank you so much for celebrating my birthday with me. Y'all, you can stay connected with me all over everywhere at Alechia Reese, Reese. And make sure you join the community. Go to www.gotvaluenation.com. We are keeping track of all of these challenges. You want to make sure that you see, what are other folks doing? Where did they go? What did they find? And what came up for them? So until next time, I will see you soon. Bye.